Hello and welcome to Penang International Travel Exchange 2020 virtual forums. And we are here with the third session of PITE 2020 forums organized by Tin Media. My name is Presanth Chandra. You can call me PC, and I'm the moderator for the session today. A very good evening to everyone who are watching us from the PITE virtual hall 1 as well as the live streams. Let me thank each one of you for taking time out to join us here. We have more people joining on our live stream. So, as we all know that the tourism industry is going through a very challenging time, and it is very important for all of us, the stakeholders of the industry, to communicate more on the situations and the future directions of the combined interest of the community. I think an event like this, PITE, is very timely, holds a very important role in getting the industry connected to the fellow partners across the globe and share knowledge and ideas on how everyone is coping up with the current challenge and how we all can learn from each other's day-to-day experiences. And by doing it virtually, it make more easy for all of us. My personal experience with PITE virtual since the past 2 days is, the tour operators or the event companies seems to be very enthusiastic about planning future business events in Malaysia. It seems like there is a demand among their clients who are holding events in a country which looks more reasonably safer and affordable, like here in Malaysia. So many of them seems to be very impressed by the way Malaysia is handling the crisis as well. So the only hurdle everyone is having is, the uncertainty with the borders or reopening and the air travel restrictions. So when we, live in this global crisis situation like this, it's everyone looking forward, to interact and give updates about what is happening there from a trade insider's perspective, as for them to give them hope and keep them more confident on what is happening, and all that is the interaction, and the same message has to be given out to their clients about the future plans as well. So we could see how important it is to have one-to-one communication at a time like this. And let me take this opportunity to thank Penang International Exhibition Bureau for making that possible through this virtual event. So guys, today we will be talking about digitalization in MICE industry, the challenges and opportunities. Before that, let me introduce you to the panel of industry leaders we have here with us. So the first speaker we have is Mr. Noor Hamid, Regional Director, Asia Pacific, ICCA Asia Pacific Office. He's someone who has tremendously contributed to the business events industry in Southeast Asia. Under his leadership, he has strengthened ICCA's footprint as one of the most successful international associations within the region. He has played an important role in making ICCA Asia Pacific to the largest chapter. Welcome, Noor, to the show.
Thank you, PC. Nice to be on board.
Thank you. The second speaker we have is Mr. Francis Yeoh, the president of MACEOS, Malaysian Association of Convention and Exhibition Organisers and Suppliers. With over 2 decades of experience in the business events industry, Francis has definitely built his reputation by contributing valuable insights and has been an active member of the committee of MACEOS for the past 14 years. He has recently elected as president for the term of 2020 and 2022. So first of all, congratulations, Mr. Francis, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Presanth. Welcome.
Thank you. So the third speaker we have is Mr. Tony Yeoh, the Chief Executive Officer of Digital Penang. So Digital Penang is a government agency of Penang State Government established to accelerate efforts to capture opportunities in digital economy and promote digitally engaged society. So he was, a visiting industry fellow, associate faculty, teaching information systems management to students of bachelor's in degree honors at 5th Autonomous University, Singapore Institute of Technology. He was the regional chief information officer for Intercontinental Hotels Group, Asia, Middle East, and East Africa region for almost 10 years. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, PC.
So let's start a discussion. I would like to start with Noor. Noor, how do you see the future of MICE industry with this pandemic on a rise lately?
Thank you, PC. Again, thank you again for having me on board for today's conversation. I hope that the conversation today will make some sense for us all to move forward. I think the question that you put in is a very, very a difficult one indeed, even though it sounded very easy. I think what's happening to the meeting industry, we call it business event or even the MICE industry, we are trying to be very optimistic with the future outlook, hoping that we will be able to rebound, restart, reopen. But having said that, I think what's happening every day, not only in Malaysia, but all over the region and the world, is that we are shifting the goalposts every day. When I say we are shifting the goalposts here, it means there's still a lot of uncertainty of what's going on. But there are also a few things that is very definite. For example, that there are no travel allowed within countries in the region or globally. Therefore, it is very easy for the industry to move forward, to move their event from physical into a virtual event or to some hybrid event. And therefore, we need to move on. We need to find ways how our business community work together and try to work within the parameter that we have at the moment. So I think, in short, it is still a positive outlook, but we have to work within the circumstances that we are all facing now.
Thank you so much for that positivity. I think we all need that at this point of time. All right, let me ask Mr. Francis. Francis, what is the latest update you have from MACEOS, to the business industry out there?
Hi, thank you, PC. Well, when this all started, the industry were first to be affected. In fact, before the MCO in March, in February, we already had the effect. And I said to say that we will be one of the last industry to recover as well. So it's going to be a long haul for us. So when the government released the event SOP in July, and they allowed events to happen up to the maximum of 250, and further after that, they allowed event beyond 250, subject to the physical distancing, mid of July. I think it took us about 2 to 3 months for us to really organize events. So you cannot just say today you can do this and tomorrow you can do it. It takes time. It take for the event industry, we take at least 2 to 3 months. So when July, he said, okay, let's do event. We are about to do event. When people they know what are the SOP, we learn about the SOPs. When it comes to now, in the month of September and October, we are start to seeing events coming back. We had conference coming back, we have exhibition coming back, and now with this third wave, back to the cave again. So it is a bit of a letdown for the industry, because we thought that we could see some recovery, we could see some lights there. So hopefully that this current MCO that's in Klang Valley would not be extended. If it's not extended, we will see the event will come back. Maybe it will take shorter time this time. Maybe it will take 1-2 months before we see events will return. So I would say is that I used to say to my colleagues or to my industry counterpart that say we should survive to end of the year. Okay, that we should survive to the end of the year. That was the forecast that we gave. But it looks it right now is that we need to look at for much more further. So I would say that that it will take time, maybe up to second quarter of next year, that we can see some recovery again. All right. So that's the current update right now. That's how the industry is feeling right now. Everybody is quite disappointed. Everybody is quite down, but we will move on.
Right. Thank you for that sharing, Francis. I think, yes, the deadline of recovery is getting extended month by month, if you could see. We hope, we find the light at the end of the tunnel soon. Let me go back to Tony. Tony, first of all, welcome to the show. And, how do you see the impact of digitalization in tourism hospitality industry?
Thank you, Presanth. Well, I think it's a very painful time for all of us, and being in an experience industry, it is never going to be easy, right? How do you deliver experience virtually using technology? But nevertheless, I think there are two positive things about it. One is that I think humans are still very social, and eventually we will still come back to do face to face. But from a technology point of view, I think it's a question of how do we deliver that experience virtually, and how do we use the technology to make that experience a lot personal. I still do think that at the end of the day, it's the content that matters. People are still going to attend it even virtually or physically, but it's all about the content and whether we have the heavyweight speakers or the heavyweight content that would actually be the draw card. So at the end of the day, technology is just a medium for delivery, and it's a question of how do we make it lively and interactive based on that. I mean, even from the technology point of view, it is a lot faster for us to organize an event, probably, and you see that people are adapting to it as well, and holding hybrid events, and the amount of data that you could collect from events such as this is actually a lot, it's very insightful. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Tony, for that input. I think rightly said, the pandemic has stirred up the digitalization, and yes, data is in everybody's mind these days. All right, so Noor, can I ask you, like, what is the latest update? If you could give some of your ideas on, who are waiting to travel across the borders. So, what do you have some updates from the business events perspective?
Wow, that's another difficult question. We are reading from the media every day, and there's a lot of new things out there every day that I don't think anybody will be able to track what's really going on as far as the travel pattern is concerned. But I think, in short, every country understood the importance of the safety of the people, but yet they need to kickstart the economy. So, all the destination need to find a way how they mobilize the economic activities. So this is very important. And I think, having said that, back to your question, it's always a desire of every country to open their borders, because that will help further strengthen the economic activities, whether it's from the business event industry, MICE industry, or any industry for that matter. But again, this is something that you cannot do alone. You take two to tango, and you take more when you need to do more business throughout the region. I think there's a lot of talks by the country. I'm not privy to some of the information, but through some of my discussions and meetings with our members around the region, we know that convention bureaus are working very closely with their local government or national government to open up the borders. For example, like Malaysia and Singapore, Japan are talking to a few countries around the region, which is in the same green zone and so forth. So the basic understanding, other than being safety is the priority, is also the level of trust. Trust will play an important role for the reopening of the travel bubble. Because you can say whatever you want to say for that particular destination or country, but if the trust level is not there, I don't think at the end of the day the government will open the borders. And then secondly, other than trust, is the demand. I think a lot of destinations now are looking at big economies. For example, if we talk about Asia Pacific, it will be China, Japan, Korea. They are now on almost, I would say, 80 to 100% reopening, a full-scale reopening. And even yesterday, I attended an event with our colleagues, our members in Wuhan, which is the ground zero of the whole pandemic. They have fully reopened. Now they are trying to welcome people not only from around China, but also around the world. I think trust and demand will lead to that roadmap to the reopening.
All right, thank you, Noor. I think an event in Wuhan is already. I think it's again giving everyone's hope that yes, things can go back to normal as it was earlier. All right. Uh, so let me ask Francis. Francis, what is your forecast about 2021 from an event industry's perspective?
As I have mentioned just now, I would say that first quarter of the year is going to be a bit quiet still. I would foresee that things will pick up maybe by the month of June. Usually, because the first 3 months a bit quiet, and then you have Ramadan coming in April, and then usually after Raya. So you can look at it as that maybe we'll see things coming back in June, and that is subject that this thing don't escalate, and hopefully we get a vaccine by then. And there's a lot of if in a sense, but to be optimistic, I would say that let's would say it's more of a mid the year. And I will foresee that next year will be a recovery year, time for us to recover for the industry. Till then that's where the event digitalization, where virtual event, hybrid event, it still will be an important aspect of our industry. So some of our members have also formed, they have actually PCO who has now offered services in terms of virtual conference. There are some of our even booth contractors, the rigs and what we call the brick and mortar of the industry. They have also offered virtual booth kind of thing. So that will go on, and that will go on for the next 6 months. So I would see that is what I can predict, I can see. Okay.
All right, all right. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, rightly said. I think virtual events are speeding up at this time. So we have more people joining in our live stream. Please type down which city you're from so that we know our speakers know that where you're joining us from which city, and also do write in your questions if you have any questions for our speakers. All right. So Tony, I would like to ask you this. What is Penang doing right digitally that others can learn from?
I'm not sure whether we are doing anything that's very special. I mean, I think going on to hybrid events, I mean, we're going to be holding the World Congress IT event next month, and it's organized by PCOM Malaysia. I mean, and it will be a hybrid event, right? So it's basically going a bit scaled down in the sense that there will be still physical events that people can experience part of it. And so there will be a Tech Fest festival that will be kind of like try to create awareness and that kind of excitement in the street or in certain areas. But it will be scaled down, but there will be part of that is physical. And then there will be some that is where, because of the speakers cannot travel into Penang, so they will be then holding that World Congress IT virtually. And so that will be a kind of event that will be done in both mediums.
All right. Thank you for that. So I would like to ask this to Noor. What are the key trends that you're forecasting in Asian business events industry for next year or the year further? I think you are muted, Noor.
Sorry. We are almost like going into a big loop. Noor, Francis, Tony, and back to Noor. But that's quite all right. I think in the key trends, definitely you will be very different from what happened in the past. I think in the normal world that we have lived in before, just before the COVID-19, it's easier to predict. It's easier to put your argument on what are the future trends going to be. And also a lot of time we are able to put things in perspective in a sense that we can generalize how things is happening because everybody's on the same playing field. Having said that, I think the future trend now, one thing for sure is cannot be generalized. When I say that, if I can argue that very quickly, is that things will happen very differently from one city to another, not just one country to another, not just one region to another. It all depends on the propensity of the respective cities, of how they are able to cope how they able to recover, and how they be able to rebuild. If I can just give you three quick example, Shanghai, where we have a member there, like the Shanghai New Expo Center. Over the weekend, last weekend, they had a huge B2B exhibition, and their daily number of visitors touched about 180,000 per day. To them, to us, that number is huge, but to them, that number is just 1/5 of what they normally have, because that is the largest venue in Shanghai. And then if we talk about destination that very dependent on tourism, we talk about like Bali and Phuket. There's ongoing effort by the local authority to reopen the borders, not only for domestic tourists, but also to international tourists, because there's only one dependency that they have, tourism income. And then number three, if we look at destination, if I can use Singapore, yeah, I'm not sure whether we have any audience from Singapore here. Singapore, obviously, we know our neighbor down south that doesn't have the resources, the natural resources. So they're very dependent on business activities, incoming tourists. We are one of the biggest hub in Asia Pacific for flights. They have moved on through the digital economy very fast. There's already three places I heard that have full-fledged studio that provide AR, VR, and ER. Unlike Malaysia, I don't think we have any of those studios yet. So that means they are already focusing that if this situation continues to prolong for the next 1 year, then our studios will be the alternative to the face-to-face meeting. And yet we'll be able to bring global events together. Back to China, one last example is that we know, because we track all the meetings organized by International Association, one of the biggest player in the market is Tencent, which is top 5 biggest digital or IT infrastructure in the world, public listed. They recently, I think 2 months ago, organized a virtual event, and over 5 days, the attendee is about 35 million. So, you know, when we talk about 35 million, it's like bigger than any population of any country, bigger than Malaysia. But that means for you to organize that kind of virtual event, you need a huge infrastructure, which I'm sure Tony can appreciate. You know, if you're doing this kind of platform, you definitely will not be able to get more than 500 people. But, you know, they have 35 million. So this is something for us to think about. All in all, I would say that, you know, we are in the business event industry, we are a bit slow. I'm not trying to generalize, but I think this is the overall feeling towards digitalization. You know, we have fall down, and then we are trying to recover and trying to learn how to use Zoom and few other platforms. So we are not that competent compared to other industry, especially in the gig economy, who has surpassed in terms of the development. Sorry for taking too much time, Tony and Francis.
Thank you so much. I think it's really important at this point of time to express what you have in your mind, because I think all the even our viewers are even very keen to listen to all of us. We could see a rise of interest when we talk about this particular subject, because I think there are not you know, probably not many events on the business event specific, you know, so a lot of people are very anxious with a lot of questions in their mind about events industry and the future. So if I would ask, you know, Francis, you know, I mean, we are all talking about digitalization in tourism and other industries, but then specific into this business events industry, how do you see the future of digitalization?
For me, I would think it's inevitable. I mean that you know, I just what Noor was saying about Zoom. You know, personally, I would just tell you that in January this year, I do not know what Zoom. You know, and now everybody is like, "I'll Zoom you. Let's Zoom." It becomes a verb. It becomes a daily word, really. You know, so we are learning, you know, about how technology can actually replace. Right, we don't have to meet face to face, and everything can still be done. The objective of what you need to get, you know, to get to be done can be done over through virtual, through the screen, and everything like that. So what I would see is that, you know, I guess is that right now, when travel is not possible, international travel is not possible, that this is the only way that we can communicate. This is the only way that we can what you call interact with our target audience. All right. So, but in the disadvantage, I would say, in terms of the evangelization, is what Tony has mentioned just now, the experience. How can you, because usually the event, virtual events, always the communication has been one way. It's usually the speakers to the audience, something like that, and then only we can communicate to the question later, something like that. But when people attend an event, it's not just meeting between the participants and the speaker only. They would like to network. They will want to network, and that is the most important part of doing event. Is that when if I go to this event, I network with so many people. I met with all my counterpart, and I found new ideas from not necessarily from the speaker, but from the attendees and from the participant itself. So that is the gist of that. That I would say that event, the digitalization or virtual event, will still be there. It will. What I foresee in terms of the conference is that the number of live participation in conference will shrink, but it also opens up the conference to a bigger audience. So a conference that could be 1,000 delegates could be shrink to 500, but they could actually achieve, as what Noor said now, 35 million participation. They could open the numbers to about 2,000 or 4,000. And it's just how the PCO or how the association is going to monetize this, how they're going to monetize these virtual participants in this field. So in terms of event digitalization, I would say that it will complement our event. And as I said again, why we have to network and that, but it will never replace it, because we still need to see face to face, right? We are a social animal. We want to meet. And I miss, the habit, of just holding my hand out and to shake a hand, but can't do that anymore. So that's my take about that. It will still be there. It's just a matter of how do we put it together? Put it up together.
Right. Rightly said, Francis. I think it will definitely enhance. The technology is going to enhance the industry and its activities. Well, rightly mentioned that. And I like to ask Tony. You've been in the digital domain and being having such a big responsibility of digitalizing Penang. What are the biggest challenges you can see in digitalization?
I think, as Noor rightly pointed out, infrastructure. I mean, how do you go digital when your infrastructure is lagging behind? So 5G promises very good speeds, right? So I think speed and quality of service is definitely a very key element in delivering digital services. So infrastructure, definitely a very key issue. Where do you get the investors to invest in that kind of infrastructure? I think China has the advantage that they're at the forefront and they have all the technology and they've invested in it a lot. Japan had broadband, high-speed broadband for maybe 30 years, way ahead of the whole region, long time ago, right? So I think most of the countries in the region need to catch up on that in infrastructure investment. That's one. Second is legacy. I think we have a lot of legacy, and how do you overcome that? And that's also a very costly thing. And lastly, I think culture, familiarity with the technology and people adopting technology. I mean, the positive side of COVID is that it has driven people to be a bit more open to using this kind of technology. So I think that culture element may be a bit easier to overcome nowadays, and people are getting more comfortable with it. So those are kind of the kind of challenges that is shifting and is helping a lot in terms of us trying to go digital. There is a joke going around that who has done most for digitalization? It's not the CTO or the CIO, it's actually COVID-19, right? So it has actually made us become more embracing towards technology. Just going back to the point about how we see virtual channels, I agree with Francis and know that it is going to be a complementary delivery channel. I don't think it's going to go away. It is going to be very crowded. People are going to be using this virtual medium a lot to try and organize events. And there may be an overload of such virtual events. And at the end of the day, again, like I said, it was going to come back to the content. Who is going to be the draw card? I mean, if I can organize an event and I bring Elon Musk or Bill Gates, I'm quite sure it's going to pull in a lot of people to come in and watch, right? So at the end of the day, the content is going to matter a lot. And we do see that the technology will evolve and will get better and better for interactivity, like what Noor said about AR and VR, and the affordability of those devices will become even better. But also, don't forget that if you look at some of the events that are happening now, advertising revenue from it is actually zero at the moment. Can you imagine if you can get advertising revenue from those delivery channels? And in fact, even in China, they're charging people for attending virtual events now, right? So I think it is going to be another avenue for revenue.
Rightly mentioned, as everyone has the same concern of not having enough revenue from virtual events. So I think people like you can really guide the industry towards how to make money from such virtual events, right? Okay, so if I ask Noor, if by what is happening around with the crisis with our industry, what are the best lessons probably we have been practicing, or probably we could learn from other countries at this point of time? Noor.
Oh, that's another big question, really. I think I would say in general first is that we are going through a phase in our life that what I call as trial economy. Trial economy is because we are just doing it. If it's wrong, we do it again, and we keep doing it until we get it right. And if somebody can get it right, then somebody else will copy it. So it becomes copy and trial economy. This is what's happening around the world with this COVID-19. Just like Francis has mentioned just now, we've been pushed to adapt to the current situation, whether we like it or not. In the past, we have never been in this kind of position, and also I want to make it very clear. I think one of the things that is bothering us a lot is we are in the service industry. So the service industry always work in three types of boxes. The first box is we, the second box is our customer, and the third box is our customer to our customer. We only used to serve the second box, not the third box. So with the COVID-19, I think it really pushed the boundary that we have to start thinking of how to really serve not only the second box but also the third box. This is maybe something more theory in the sense that I mentioned here, but in the reality, this is what's happening. And even if I can relate that to the association world, where I'm representing the International Congress and Convention Association, I would say that in a general terms, we are very much in a slow pace to adapt with the changes of this COVID-19. Now, for example, like Malaysia, we are going into our third wave. We still have not really find the right way to maneuver and to come up with a new business model for the association. Members are suffering. We are still not able to provide all the membership benefits as we should be, and this is sometimes beyond our control, and therefore I think we are a bit lacking in that sense from the association perspective and also from the service industry compared to the other sectors like gig economies, which I'm sure that you all have seen doing extremely very well in this kind of situation.
Right. I think rightly mentioned this, Noor. I think, this crisis is actually crashing down the intermediaries in the business. So we could see, a lot of intermediary channels are getting vanished, and we could probably see what's happening at the end of the tunnel. When things comes back, you could see how many wholesalers are still there, or, all that is in question at this point of time. Right. So, Francis, I would, like to ask you from your association's perspective, like what are the plans and probably to help your members or to cope up with this crisis? What is that from Maceos?
Thank you. we will. What I would say is like, you know, like in the industry, if someone is sick, right? It will take time for this person to recover. So same thing, the industry is going through a illness right now. You know, everybody is suffering, the legs and the heads and every parts of the body is aching. So it needs times for them to recover. So what I would say is that we need space. We have to give space to our members to recover, and then we need to also, I urge the member is to collaborate, to connect, and also to network. You have to. Before we used to work with the AV company, the booth contractors, and through the point of through the organizer of the event. But it's always been the intermediary that we have been working with. But why don't we work together straight away with our supplier, with our industry, and somehow come out something? So that's the thing that I would say that one, we have to work together to help the industry and help ourselves. I would say that it's also time for us to reskill. Put some training, education, and I would emphasize on the technologies. It's about time that we have to invest in technology. We have to invest in our people. I mean, so that kind of reskilling that we have to put in into so that the industry can pick it up. And also, as well as just for us to continue to advocate that how important is this industry in terms of how we would actually able to rebuild the economy, the local economy, the national economy, and also the international economy, because of trade exhibitions would help the SMEs or the company in the country. So this is what we have to advocate on, the importance of events in the local economy. After a while, we also need to kind of stabilize, all this condition and this moment. It's a bit of chaotic. So I think it's that we have, once everything settled down, is this matter of recovery and let things settle down. And we will support our members to trainings and as well as collaboration as well.
All right, thank you for that input. I think yes, due to COVID, I think I could see technology, everybody's using it to upscale themselves. So I could see there are industry people from our industries going and learning digital marketing and a lot of other things, and even some of them are even started finding other career opportunities in many other ways after getting learned and getting practice. So that's a good thing which is happening with the technology around. So Tony, if I could ask you the opportunities we have for in digitalization in this industry, what are the opportunities and where to look for them? Probably you are the right man to answer that.
I guess, like what Francis said, I think the people who are going to come out ahead of this is those who invest in technology and prepare for the new normal, right? And when things recover, people are going to expect to have a more seamless experience. It's already being adopted, a lot of the technology, like, polling and voting and all those things. So I think investing in that kind of technology for that to enhance the physical experience definitely would be useful. Things like networking, in terms of how networking, so people may not want to exchange cards anymore because they're afraid of virus or whatever. Then instead they may just be sending e-cards or whatever, which is a lot more, or even have conference briefcases that are virtual. So those kind of things may happen a lot more. But I think there will be definitely, I see that the virtual side of things will improve a lot more. Not so long ago, actually, there was this discussion about why is it that cinemas cannot be used for conferences, right? So maybe at some point in time, 4K cinemas may be the way to go, and they will be using it for virtual conferences. So people may not need to travel such long distances, but they may go to regional centers to have that experience rather than travel intercontinental, right? So those kind of technology will come. But again, like what Francis says, I think it's important for companies to look at consolidating and then investing ahead, preparing themselves for the next normal when things recover.
Well, rightly said, Tony. Yes, I think we all need to look for opportunities, and I think it's with a lot of discussion and talkings going on where we can invest in terms of technology at this point of time. Even a lot of market predictions have been done by companies like Google and Microsoft on technology movement. So if I ask Noor, talk about digital opportunities or general opportunities at this stage, what do you see? I mean, for our players, if you could, shed some lights on what kind of opportunities they can look for post-COVID, probably.
Okay, thank you, PC. I think in every challenges or crisis that you go through, there will be larger opportunities ahead. It's just whether we are able to look at the opportunity very clearly or not. So that's going to be the big question. I think one of the things that's really pushing the boundaries for the association space, that most of the association around the world, I'm talking about international regional association, not taking to national associations, that associations are governed by men, old in the 50s. And with this COVID, I think it pushed a boundary to allow younger generation to come in, because association at this point in time, you need people with the technical ability, you need people with the IT savvy, and therefore the young people would be able to come into our economy. So that's one opportunity. And number two, we need the opportunity is for us to change our behavior. That is the biggest challenge in any industry or economy, for that matter, because we used to behave the same way again and again. We used to organize conferences the same way again and again. We have annual meeting, so it will be an annual meeting year after year. But with this kind of situation, maybe we would say we're not going to have an annual meeting, but we can have 4 different meetings. Instead of the meeting goes into one location, we can have hubs around the world. This is an opportunity for us also to create new demand, new product and services. We have seen over the last few months within our ICCA membership, not only in Malaysia but throughout the region, venues, whether they are hotel or conference center, have revitalized themselves to provide different services. Those were the days that a venue, for a huge venue like conference center before, only catered to a larger event, exhibition and conferences. Now you don't have any activities. So what do? You have F&B staff. So can you use your F&B staff to sell food through Grabs and other source? So this can also generate income. Some venues has even lease out their space for retail shops, barbers, for restaurants, for gymnasium and so forth, because that is the demand that you have now. So I think that will push further our industry for people who are now, for example, trying to develop new convention centers. So you have to rethink about what kind of features that you need to put in, because we see that in the early part of the year when the COVID-19 is happening, we see all around the world conference venues being used as hospital, but we're not equipped. We don't have enough water supplies, electrical system to support that needs. So that will push the design and the thinking, the way we work and play in the future. So I think that opportunity is huge out there. It's just a matter of how we can actually quickly adapt. I'm not saying this just to all the members that we have around the region, but including to ourselves as ICCA. How do we think about recreating ourselves, re-innovating ourselves? We have to pause and say that maybe all the things that we have done could have been done in a different way. So that is the opportunity at hand that we need to quickly grab. I hope that makes sense.
All right. Absolutely. I think, as rightly mentioned, I think this crisis have actually made people more creative. We could see, tourism players are trying to create a more different type of products, which they never even thought if this thing would have happened. So that's something which is.
Yeah, if I can just add
Yeah.
one more thing, PC, very quickly.
Sure.
I think you just spoke on
No,
one
please
thing
take your
that I
time.
really
No worries.
wanted
Yeah.
to say. Yes, you know,
Sure.
a lot of associations around the world, the way we work is that we have an office, we have staff, we have members around the world. But now during the COVID-19, we are not able to go to work, to the office. And now associations start thinking that, after this post-COVID, can we actually work without office? Can we still run our business of the day with staff running businesses from their home? I think this is the biggest question, because we are now turning ourselves from a traditional way of working into a gig economy. Maybe we can even pay our staff when you start working. If you don't work, we don't pay you. So these are all the questions that really being posed to us. Sorry for adding that in a
All
few
right.
minutes.
Yeah, and that's even previously, one of the discussion where somebody was mentioning even association might think of restructuring their membership pattern as well because of
True.
this crisis. So that is something which we are looking forward to. So Francis, if I could come to you, and what is your message to the international business events community who are looking towards Malaysia at this point of time?
Well, I think that Malaysia is actually a safe destination. I understand we have our third wave right now, but actually we got an excellent healthcare system here. Without a healthcare system in place, I think we will be in a worse situation. So in terms of health, it's still a safe destination. It will be still a value for money destination for the international market. Looking at our ringgit and everything like that, so you continue to be. You get more from if you come to the country, and definitely as the industry would definitely would I would say that we will still be around. We will persevere. We'll be resilient, and we'll be a better off industry after this. So it'll be a better Malaysia. I would say it'll be a better industry, and it'll be a better Malaysia for all, because we all now will be more ready for all this.
All right. Thank you so much for that positivity. I think we all need that badly at this point of time. Yeah. All right. So yeah. Anything else to add, Francis? Or?
No, that's what I said right now. That sometimes we need just to encourage ourselves. Sometimes we need to tell to our industry colleagues, things will get better. Don't worry, we will get this through together. That's what we need right now. We need a bit of encouragement. We need some more positive news, and we need some vibes to keep us all up. Okay.
Absolutely. You rightly said, we could see that in the previous session yesterday, like during that virtual event, some of them were just coming and talking, just as I said, it's too long that we could speak to somebody on this subject. So we just wanted to have a conversation. So there are a lot of people like that who are coming online to talk. So it is very encouraging to see, all these differences. So Tony, I could, if I could ask you, Tony, if, it is the biggest challenge for every offline business to adopt digitalization, right? So what is your advice to those businesses who are still struggling or still thinking, how to adopt and what, how to look for their future in such a digital age?
Yeah, going offline to online, yes. I think at a minimum, I think maintaining social media presence is very important. I think in this current crisis, maintaining presence to let people know that you're still in business is very important, right? So social media, I think, is probably the cheapest way to make sure that you at least have a Facebook page or even a website or whatever to maintain that presence, and then or even to do a blog or to do promotions around the social media and on the internet. I think that's very important to at least let people know that you're there, right? So that's just number one, the simplest thing that any offline business needs to do, because they need to have an online presence. Right? So that's number one. Second thing is obviously to look at the relationship, the digital relationship you have, because you now need to convert your previous physical relationship to a digital relationship. And so therefore, the data that you have on your customers, the data on your attendees that you have and all that, maintaining that digital relationship with them sending them interesting articles, sending them stuff like that, and keeping them warm and making sure that you maintain that loyalty, I think is very important. And like what Francis and Noor said before, is the networking. You have to continue to maintain that strong networks with them. I think it's very important. And so you need to use that technology to maintain that loyalty and networks. And then lastly, of course, is to look at, how do you get yourself ready by investing in your operations, into your current, changing the way that you're going to operate, whether it's going to be hybrid events or whether when the thing comes back online, how do you going to be ready and prepared for that, getting your staff trained and be ready for that kind of thing. And in new technology like facial recognition technology, all those things, admission technology, all that is important that they need to start to invest in.
All right. Thank you, Tony, for those inputs. So we are actually coming towards the end of the session. Noor, any final thoughts, any messages you want to give out to the industry, to the people who are watching and people who will watch later?
Yeah, I'm quite scared to hear final thoughts like, this is going to be my last
No, that's fine.
To me, I think, human behave very much like ants. Ants, they will move in one big groups. And then when the groups of ants moving to a direction, they will stumble into a big stone or tree. And then they somehow will find a way to get through it, whether they go around the tree or they go around on top of the stone. So I think human will behave very much like that. I think this is one of the worst situations that we have ever gone through. People been comparing this with world wars, with the economic crisis, in the early 1800s and so forth. This is like something that we never gone through before, and yet the human race all over the world are still not working together. You can see everywhere in the world there's a lot of difference of opinion that tearing apart the people who really need help. I think speaking from our business event industry, I think it's very important. I'd like to echo what Francis and also Tony has mentioned. We need to come and work together. In fact, the reason why I agreed to come on this particular show today, I don't think there's any new message that I can put on for the audience out there. But I think the reason why I joined is simple, because this conversation must continue, simply because it matters. We, as the leaders of the industry, as the player of the industry, must continue to strive, must continue to find ways of how we can move forward. Without us, the industry will just collapse. There's no industry, no business in industry if we're not part of it. So that's my last message. Not so last because I will still be around.
Thank you so much, Noor. I think we need more leaders like you, or the positivity. I think you rightly said, this conversation has to move and continue, and we really appreciate you took a time out to join us here and adding value to this discussion. Thank you so much, Noor, and we'll see you around, and all the best for your upcoming endeavors.
Only a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thanks. All right, so let's ask Francis about his, I don't say final, but probably the closing thoughts.
Yeah, we will. No, people like Noor and me will still be around. Don't worry, So anyway, anyway, is that take this time to kind of like to look at how we can improve our services, how we can deliver certain things that is like in another form. How it's a time for us to innovate, time for us to take things apart and then put them back again together and say that how can I get it done better. Like what Noor has mentioned just now, like the ICCA Congress, they have decided that to have one main event in the live event in Taiwan, but they have 4 sub events in the rest of the world, so there can there be a lot more participation from the so it's like a network hub. So what if the conference are now not just one big event? Why it can be in the sense that there could be one live event, but there could be also 4 smaller events happening at the same time and networking using technology to connect. So it's actually put us into a perspective that why don't we do this? Why don't we do that kind of thing like that? So take this time to really think of like, how can we do things better? And that would be my last, parting advice. Just look at another perspective. Don't think in a box, but think without the box. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Francis. I think, as you rightly mentioned, I think everybody needs that perspective, and I think your statements and your advices really add value. I think people looking for a lot of clarity, which we can bring it from a discussion like this. So, thank you so much, Francis, for joining us in this, and we'll see you again.
All the best, all of us. All the best.
All the best. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. All right, Tony. I think you are muted. So. Do let us know what is your closing thoughts.
I think events business or MICE business is very important. The flow down effect to the economy is very strong, right? And that happens a lot. I think it's just a tough period that we're going through. And so the question is, how do you embrace technology? How do you use that to be creative? Necessity is the mother of all invention. So how do you survive this period and use technology to be more creative? I think that would be the way to go.
Thank you, Tony, for that. Thank you so much for joining us here. All the viewers, if you have any doubts or anything to be asked to Francis, to Tony, or any of the panelists, do write in the comments. Even later on our social media pages, we can put that across to them, and we can get you connected. So thank you, Tony, for your time. We really appreciate all your sharings here, Tony. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. See you. Bye.
Okay, thanks. So, all right, guys, so we are coming towards the end of the session here. And I think definitely we have really learned a lot of from this sharing, a lot of clarity as, we gained from this discussion we had today. So it was indeed very informative and thoughtful, I believe. Even I hope you also will agree to that. All right, so as you know that today's PITE event will be live for the North and South American markets. Opening ceremony will be at 9 p.m. Malaysian time. So all the best to all the pre-scheduled appointments and meetings and who are participating in, and enjoy your rest of the show with the PITE virtual PITE. And let me thank each one of you for taking your time out and joining this forum today. We look forward to see you all over again, and thank you so much.